So with that said, I'd like to move to Nidhi. Nidhi is not necessarily a space person, but of course, we're really happy to have her as a non-space person, because something we don't always do very well in the space sector is look outside the space sector. Nidhi is a life sciences content writer and strategist. She can be found on Twitter as The Shared Scope. And more famously, and that's how I know Nidhi, is through her account at SciComm Club. Look it up on Twitter, and the weekly SciComm chat that she and a few of her people in her team are hosting every week, every Wednesday. But I'm sure you'll tell us more about that, Nidhi. So without further ado, Nidhi, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that introduction. What I'm going to quickly do is talk about myself while I'm sharing my screen. So if that doesn't work, please let me know. But hello, everyone. I'm Nidhi. As Remco already said, I'm generally writing about life sciences and health at the Shared Microscope. I work with a lot of clients to create content around life science and health. So I've worked with the likes of Johnson & Johnson, Kaplan, some COVID manufacturers, Springer, that sort of thing. You can find me on the Shared Scope on Twitter, or you can also find me on SciComm Club, which is where right now it's summertime. Well, last week's going to be the last 7 p.m. session, essentially. So yeah, it would be great to meet you all there. So this is, oh, sorry, let me move that around. So this is everything that I'll be kind of talking about, hopefully lead a discussion on it. So kind of who am I, what do I do? And then the more important, the reason you're all here to talk about communication campaigns. I'm going to be focusing more on the health side, although I do have one space campaign that I'd like to talk about because I really liked that one. Let's get into it. So just as a heads up, most of these campaigns that I'm going to discuss are around breast cancer and breast health. And it's mainly because A, I'm very much about health literacy. B, I started the Shared Microscope after a breast cancer scare, essentially. So it all kind of leads back to that moment in my life. It is breast Cancer Awareness Month this month. So I thought this would be a nice time to just talk about breast cancer, both in men and women. So first things first, what makes a campaign successful? As you can see from the slides, it's having a defined target audience. So who is it for? With breast cancer, it would be primarily women over the age of 25. Usually they say above the age of 50. You have to establish your goals while you're doing it. So again, you will have your own goals, but for breast cancer awareness, it will be to basically get more people to screen for cancers. You need to create targeted content that reaches your audience easily, and then also engage with your audience, distribute and become viral, essentially. So usually a lot of people do it using influencers, like Remco, for example, or through TikTok or Instagram, or creating like a hashtag, something on the lines of distribution and virality, just overall. You also then would want to measure the success of your campaign and evaluate the whole thing. So what went well, what didn't go well. And then if it goes well, you want to keep it going. If it doesn't, you probably want to figure out why it didn't and then kind of take it from there. But that's a very basic recipe for a successful campaign. I thought we would look at some examples and then take it from there. So the first example is the bread exam. I'm not sure if anybody's heard about it, but it was first launched in Lebanon, but has become famous in the UK, Turkey, Paris, France. And it was a campaign to create global awareness, again, around breast cancer. It was an award-winning campaign, or it is an award-winning campaign. and teaches women how to perform self-checks without ever mentioning the word breast. This is obviously very important because the idea was behind this campaign was to promote self-checking and just kind of awareness in cultures where it's a very taboo topic. So kind of cultures like mine essentially would be a good target audience, where people don't necessarily talk about breast health. So if it's okay by you, I'm going to show you a video from the campaign. I do apologize in advance. This is like the original one. So you will have to focus on the little subtitles or the captions. But hopefully this works. Let me know if it's too loud or not loud enough.
مرحبا مشاهدينا الكرام، أنا أم علي وأهلا وسهلا فيكم. أنا هون لأتأكد إنكم رح تعجنوا كل شهر. اليوم رح أعطيكم أهم وصفة عندي. هالوصفة مش لعلمك طريقة العجينة بالمقادير. هالوصفة تعلمك تعجني عجينة مزبوطة. شوفي كيف طلعي بالعجينة كتير منيح وتأكدي إنه العجينتين مثل بعض. تكون زيت الشكر وزيت اللون، ما تكون وحدة أغمق أو أكبر من الثانية. ما لازم يكون في كتال ولا شيء طري بزيادة عن غيره. وهلا بصبيعك 3 وراحة الكف فبتضغط منيح بشكل دائري من برا لجوا لتوصلي للنص. انتبهي لأنه الكتل أوقات ما بتبين من أول لمسة. هلا بدك تضغطي على العجينة بخط مستقيم واخيرا بتمسكي العجينه هيك وبتكبسي عليها، ما طلع منها اي شيء سايل، يعني العجينه سليمه.
So that was essentially the campaign. I'm absolutely a fan of this campaign, clearly, but I think it was really, really good at communicating just breast health and breast cancer generally. Here's kind of a nice little wordplay. Again, this is another breast cancer screening program. It was started by a nonprofit in the United States, but a couple of the clinics also took it up. So it kind of went viral in that sense. The hashtag was used to who are uninsured, underinsured, or fully insured as well, American system. So it was another way for people to again encourage others to go get that mammogram, check for lumps, that sort of thing. Again, I'm a big fan, but I'm going to move this back to you guys, and maybe we can discuss what went.
Thank you. I mean, you've seen in the chat perhaps that this is an amazing example. It's something that's very near and dear, at least to my heart, and I think I speak for my colleagues as well, is that cultural accessibility is extremely important, and sometimes it's so obvious to speak from your own cultural background and your own cultural awareness and your own cultural situation that you tend to forget that certain things just don't work for whatever cultural background reasons that you don't really think about. And this bread example, wow, this is kind of
I absolutely love the bread example. Like they didn't use any words that talk about anything apart from bread, but they made it very, very obvious what they were talking about. It became super viral because a lot of celebrities in the US and the UK started kind of copying what
a lot of women and men are afraid of, in a way that isn't, that just makes it easier to talk about it and to get the fear away from it. So I think it's a really clever campaign.
Anybody else wants to jump in, say anything about it?
I have a question. You mentioned before TikTok, and is that a good example that can go on TikTok, or how do you judge TikTok when it comes to really severe, important messages?
So I don't use TikTok personally, but I've seen a lot of TikToks being shared on Instagram. And what I've found is TikTok has a very different audience. But I think it's something that will go viral on TikTok quite well because it doesn't talk about the topic. directly. And it is about food. I feel like TikTok's very good with food and coffees and drinks, and it's a good platform to educate on, because you can scroll aimlessly and learn something from it. And I think that's why TikTok has become as kind of famous as it has. I'm not sure if that answers your question directly, but I do see it working really well. Because it became an award-winning campaign, it kind of blew up very quickly. And then just having celebrities on board, influencers on board, I think that makes all the difference. If you find the right celebrities, the story kind of snowballs into something else. I'd say like another example, it wasn't a campaign necessarily, but when Angelina Jolie got her double mastectomy, was it? Women all over the world were like, right, this is a serious matter. I need to go get checked as well. And it's that kind of conversation that was not necessarily a campaign, but it's that conversation that makes it better, that allows us to kind of talk more about things that aren't generally being talked about. Again, I'm not sure if I answered the question, but it's trial and error of reaching your audience. It's knowing where they hang out. It's knowing what they're doing, where they're doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
You're not gonna like. This is a very bad example of what I'm doing. I'm talking about health in a place where everybody's interested in space. So this would not necessarily be where I would go. But because we've said we're under the umbrella of science communication, I still fit in. But this might not necessarily be for a campaign my perfect, no offense to any of y'all, but it won't be my perfect place to campaign. So you find your people and you kind of make it work. Most people build an audience around themselves. So SciComm Chat would be a perfect example of where I would talk about science communication. So this kind of a conversation, everything that we talk about today, that goes really well on SciComm Chat, for example. So it's finding the audience, finding where they are, what their questions are. And it's not only about finding them, it's about encouraging them to speak up. Because we all know where our audiences hang out. We know where we hang out, so we know where our audience hangs out. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come in and talk to you. So exactly. What do you do what do you do there to build up that trust?
That makes perfect sense. One thing I like, and then we move to the second speaker, because time runs out fast. But what I really like about this, and we can take an example, because we are doing this session in English, and a lot of, and I think that's maybe more specific to space than any other sectors, but a lot of science communication seems to be in English. And now being confronted with a science communication campaign that went viral, not just in Lebanon, but also beyond, but is essentially in Lebanese or in Arabic, is a big eye-opener, at least for me, to think, hey, this is a very powerful campaign, but it's not in English. And that's brilliant, because it's not meant to reach an audience maybe beyond the Arabic speaking world, but it did touch me. And so I really like that.